And hello, everyone. Welcome to District 44 Presents Monday Night Live. I'm Jim Hughes from Rising Phoenix Toastmasters, and I'm happy to join my friend Amanda May Gray. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. How you guys doing today? Welcome to our show. I am with 3 clubs here in District 44, but that's not of importance today. What are we going to talk about, Jim? What do the people need to know?
Today, while using StreamYard, we're going to talk about how to level up your Zoom presentation. Now, why are we going to talk about this? I think it's Thursday, marks a year since our country unfortunately shut down in a different way because of COVID-19.
I think
But
you're right.
so we're still here a year later doing virtual presentations. And for those of you, and I know this may be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it, Amanda, because we were talking about this earlier today. Virtual presenting is not going away, folks. So it's been a year. It's never going to go back to the way things were before. So we need to come to grips with that. There are going to be clubs that have actually see a benefit to Zoom presentations. Why? Now we can have clubs with people from all over the world, literally. We've had many of our members in District 44 visit clubs outside of the Atlanta area. Imagine that,
That's right.
without leaving their house. And we've had visitors from all over the world come to our clubs, see some of the great talent that's in District 44. But here's one thing I want you to think about. And when it comes to virtual presenting, a friend of mine, Lem, brought this up. We were talking a couple weeks ago on a live video show. Your virtual presentation is basically going to become your new suit, your new outfit. It's how you're going to leave that first impression with people. And all of us can get better at it. I'm not going to, being a retired Marine, I'm not going to take excuses from people because you can start with things as simple as your phone and work your way up a little bit at a time. What are your thoughts, Amanda?
I agree. I think there are easy tricks and tips that you can do to just start yourself off that don't have to cost a lot of money. And you could also go all out, right? And get all the expensive things. However, I will say that some of these tools, they're not as expensive as you might think. So, yes, can you get a really super duper expensive microphone? You absolutely can. But there are some that are darn close in quality that are going to level you up instantaneously. Same with the camera, like Jim mentioned. You can actually use your cell phone to upgrade your laptop camera because your cell phone is probably, and when I say probably, I mean like it's definitely better than your webcam that's built in. Even if you got a brand new computer like I went and eventually did, I still ended up getting myself a webcam. So there are little things, and I totally agree. This isn't going anywhere. I think there's some debate on when it stops, but how do we know what that timeline is, right? And in the meantime, what are we doing?
Right.
How are we utilizing? We can't just stop doing things altogether. So how can we make the best of the situation as well?
All right. And Amanda, before we even get into, we're really going to cover 3 areas tonight. We're going to talk about audio, we're going to talk about video, and we're going to talk about some presentation type things you maybe wouldn't have thought of, all that can be done within Zoom. But Amanda, what's something you and I are doing right now that people may not realize that I think helps both of us be better at speaking? Do you want to tell them what that secret is?
I'll show you guys this secret. You couldn't do this if you were doing the other thing that most people do. You couldn't do that. You couldn't, right? So we are standing, and that is going to give you more energy. It is automatically going to level you up. I was actually at a meeting just before this one with my advanced club, North Gwinnett, and I started the meeting sitting because I was the 3rd speaker. But when it came time for me to speak, I picked everything up. Thankfully, I have a standing desk. And I stood up to give that presentation because it's going to infuse your energy. You're actually going to have more natural hand movements as well. And that body language is going to come across so much better. And that's huge, right? I don't know what the percentage is. There's a lot of like arguing on what the percentage is of communication that is nonverbal and body language, but it's real. And when we can't see any of it, that's when it's awkward. It doesn't look quite right, but we're instantly going to gain that connection even more because we're standing and able to connect even better with that camera.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out. I don't know if he's watching tonight, but one of my Rising Phoenix Toastmaster members, Michael Coates, did his welcome speech on Saturday in Zoom, and
Oh,
he stood up. And I will tell you, it worked great. He stayed within the frame. He was moving back and forth, but it really had a great impact on his ability, where I think if he had been sitting right, it's just not there. So folks, figure out a way you can stand up. Now, here's a couple of things you could think about. So if you have a webcam, and we'll go a little bit more into this, a lot of these webcams will actually allow you to put them on a tripod. So if you're like,
yes.
oh, so you could put that tripod literally in front of your computer monitor and get it to that level that when it's time for you to speak, you stand. And so, like right now, I'm looking right at the camera, because that's the other thing we tend to do in Zoom is we tend to look down because I want to look at Amanda. I can see that she's there on the screen. Or the other thing we see that's a little bit I'll call it unsightly, is the camera up the nose. So that's another
I
good
mean,
reason to stand
this
up
one.
and yes, and have this stand up and have things at eye level. So just right, alls we did is by standing with whatever equipment you have. Maybe you got to take, if you got a laptop, you just put it up on a box, lift it up, find yourself a table. That in and of itself, I think, will give you that much more confidence when it comes to speaking. I've been standing now, literally for months, because I do several live shows, and even when I record podcasts, I stand. I just feel like it gives you more energy. Even though nobody's seeing me, it's just, that's the other thing. Plus, a lot of times, depending on how you have your microphones and things set up, touching the table or whatever will actually create noise into your microphone.
Correct.
So by standing, getting away from all that, that's something that you can do. So I know we have several of you viewing. We've seen AJ said hello. So please tell us what club you're with, or if you're not with a club, what brings you here today. And so leave us some comments. We want to talk with all of you. I hope I didn't scare you all away with my sternness at the beginning there. But the first area we're going to talk about, and this is something that me and several of my friends talk about in the live streaming space. The most important thing you can do, and I'll say this as a Toastmaster as anything else, audio is the thing you want to improve first,
It's number one.
right?
Because if we can't
Didn't
hear
say
you,
video, right?
then the rest of it doesn't make much of a difference.
Right. So audio, right? Not video, not all this other stuff, because sometimes people are busy and maybe maybe they even have their camera off, right? We've all seen those in Zoom meetings where we don't even know if they're there, but they can hear you, right? They're there. Um, and so I'm sure I'm getting okay. So yeah, and if you go and give StreamYard permission, because we have a StreamYard, Lisa, thank you, Lisa, for joining us. At least she told us who she is.
Lena.
You give or Lena, give
Yes.
StreamYard permission. I believe it's to access your
It should pop
picture.
up.
It should
I
pop up,
believe.
right?
I believe it pops up when you do it.
And we had someone add that, but that's okay. We're glad you're here, Lena. Thank you so much for joining us today. And so we think about audio. Here's something that people may not think about. Amanda and I both have what I call in-ear monitors. Okay.
Mhm.
Mine are actually wired. You can get them wireless. Now, I will say the wired is better over, well, the issue with wireless or anything wireless is Bluetooth. Bluetooth
Mhm.
sometimes can be your friend, but then Bluetooth can sometimes not be your friend, because other devices might pick it up and all of a sudden your wireless microphone just cut out, or you now can't hear what the other person is saying. So I've
Right.
actually got some wireless in-ear monitors in by Shure. They're about $99, and I have a wire running behind my back that's actually got a 9-foot cord. So I can easily step back and I can still hear Amanda if she
Hey,
speaks,
if I
right?
speak,
Right. And I
that
can
might
also
happen.
move back. But if we're speaking, right, and we want to hear, maybe it's audience or reaction or whatever, we want to be able to hear them. So that's one of the things. But here's the other thing that wearing in-ear monitors will do for you. If you've ever been in a meeting and heard kind of this like echoing, that's what we call echo feedback. What a lot of people don't realize is if you're listening to a meeting through your speakers, excuse me, it will actually go into the microphone that you're using. And everybody is like, oh my gosh, it's like
Yeah.
reminds me of chalk on a chalkboard, or when people scratch the chalkboard.
Yes, exactly.
So that's echo feedback. So even if you just go out and buy yourself some headphones, right? And stick them in, and you can get some in-ear monitors for I think $20 to $30, depending on which model you want to get,
Mhm.
and kind of go back into working your way up. And yes, we definitely want to say hi to Phyllis Breach. She is a former what's the correct term? District
District director. Oh,
director,
past district
past
director. I
district
don't know the
director.
formal terms. Don't ask me
Yeah,
for it.
I always want to call them
I like
governors.
her. She's awesome.
I,
That's
I want to call them governors. That's probably the wrong term. But anyway,
governor.
Phyllis is awesome. And so thank you, Phyllis,
She
for
is.
joining us today. And so you got to think about that, folks. You got to think about that echo feedback. Oh, and before I forget, happy International Women's Day to all the women out there. In fact, this district is ran by a trio of outstanding women. And
Yes.
thank you so much
Yes.
for all you do and for giving us the opportunity to help the district. We hope get better at things like that. And immediate past district director. See,
See, and now we
we're
know.
getting educated.
And now we know.
Now we know, right? Immediate past district director. So
Yes.
so that means that they still make her do things. I'm just kidding.
Well,
But no, Phyllis is amazing. She did a
she
great
doesn't
job
get to
with
blend
Caleb.
in anywhere. That's what it is.
That's right.
She can't
That's right.
just
To
like be
kind of
incognito mode.
stand out, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so that's one of the things you don't always realize is like, and so you can get these will plug into your computer, right? They're also a great way to even sometimes just be able to listen to things. I'll tell you what's interesting. I don't know if you found this, Amanda, that when you wear these headphones and like if you're listening to a Zoom, you pick up everything.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh
you think
yeah.
you're hearing stuff without it. When you put this stuff on, you're hearing all kinds of noise. So if you think you're having problems hearing, definitely think about in-ear monitors.
Yes. Yes, you will pick it all up. And the other good thing is it kind of blocks out, potential background noise for you to hear. Depending on your microphone, that might still get picked up, but it can keep you focused on the conversation rather than whatever else is going on in the house. So that is also really nice as well.
Right. Now, Amanda, I think you've talked about this before. When we get also in audio, we start talking about microphones. What's been
Mhm.
some of your microphone experience? Have you changed? I think you've recently changed up your microphone too, haven't you?
So I obviously first just use the computer. Then I use like a standard wired headset, which is totally fine, by the way. If that's what you have and it doesn't cost you any money, plug any external microphone in. Absolutely any external microphone that gets the microphone closer to your mouth is going to make a big difference. So please don't take us that we're like, go spend a bunch of money. You don't have to do that. It is not necessary. This is actually, it's called an M Audio Producer USB. So it's a USB microphone that plugs directly into my computer. I'm not going to put it in the chat 'cause you can't buy it anymore. This thing is 10 years old or more. I don't know. I bought it a long time ago and I've just had it since it's still working. So I haven't replaced it yet, to be quite honest. But I think on the fly, what I can do is I also have AirPod Pros in. So mine are wireless, they are the Bluetooth. But I think we can switch the mic. So this is my producer, this is my USB plugged in directly. And then I think on the fly here, I can come in here and switch to my AirPod Pro. Now, I believe, Jim, give me a yay or a nay.
Yep.
Can
Yep.
you hear it different?
I definitely hear a difference. Definitely hear a difference. It's not as sharp as what you had earlier, but we can still hear you. And we did have a
Exactly. So you can
question
see that.
from and I don't know what your name is because you have not given StreamYard permission yet to see your name in the Facebook group, and that's okay. Um, now, I will say clip-on mics are not a bad idea at all. Okay, and so I would say the reason that you need that earpiece is right now. How are you listening to what's going on? And so what happens is even with that, what I call lapel mic, usually, I know he's called clip-on mic, that if you've got that audio up, that audio can go into your microphone, and that's what causes the feedback. And so there are wireless, just like Amanda's using. You can have some wireless headphones or ear pods, whatever
I
you
was
want to
looking to
use.
see if I had a lapel mic so we could hear somewhere to show everybody what it looks like,
Yes.
but I'm not seeing it at the moment. Hold on. Do that.
Minutia, my friend Minutia. Good to
Hey,
see you.
Minutia, what's crack-a-lackin'? Oh, so
Yeah.
this is like any wired set, right? Like any
Right.
wired set came in the
Right.
box with an iPhone. This will function. I do
Right.
have a lapel mic as well that's plugged in. My next purchase, though, will be a wireless. Well, I think it's going to be a wireless lapel mic. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
doing a little research.
Rode microphones make some
The
nice
wireless, yep.
wireless ones.
That's my next.
Um, and the benefit with that is that will once again, just like I'm doing with my in-ear monitors, it allows me to step away, move away, do that presentation that where I want to have more action when it comes to the audience, even on Zoom, right? So
Exactly.
I think sometimes what happens is we think that Zoom means we have to sit at our seat and not do anything. In fact, Manusia, I want to give you a shout out. You've done some great presentations at our club, and Manusia has been one of those folks that's taken on that improving. He's got a nice
He has.
backdrop behind him. He's standing up, and he's definitely improved his virtual presentation skills. Because I'll tell you, he was already a great speaker, and I think love to hear your comments and thoughts, Manusia, on do you feel like you're getting more confidence with the virtual presenting? Because I know you definitely had confidence when we were in person.
He
And
has. And you know what? You know what I like about you, Manusia, is that you have taken advice and utilized it. I think that's one thing that you really got to make sure. When you hear things that you can adapt, do them right then and there. Don't wait for it. Try it out, test it out, enjoy the process. Know that it's probably not going to be perfect right away, but mess with your space and keep working on it. That's
right,
the key.
right.
That is the key. And unfortunately, I could not find my lapel mic. Heck knows where it went. I
So,
don't.
but they do.
It's
There's
around.
there's several lapel mics that you can usually find them on Amazon for about $20, and
Yeah.
they'll plug right into your computer. Or if you are going to use your phone, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, they can also plug into your phone. You can get an adapter that'll allow you to have both in, or if you go with like Amanda did with the headphone pieces in, then you can plug that microphone in and have that attached to your shirt or whatever so that we can hear you, because it goes back to audio is the number one priority,
It
because
is king.
yeah. And so that right there, standing up, better audio, you already have made tremendous strides in being a better Zoom presenter.
And
And
chances are you can do it for free right
right,
away.
right.
If you don't have a set of headphones lying around the house somewhere, I'd be surprised. I feel like we all do, especially
Yeah,
if you have kids. If you have kids, just steal them. I'm just saying.
because they probably took them from you first.
That's
Because
what I'm saying, right?
I know that happened to me for many years.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so Amanda, any other thoughts on audio? Oh, and so in case those of you are wondering, this microphone I have here, it's a Samson Q2U. It is only about, only for some people you might say a lot, but it's $70. I've had this for probably 2 years. It has both the ability to be a USB, like Amanda was talking about, plug straight into the computer, but it also has what we call XLR. XLR allows me to put this into a sound interface. And so as you advance, you may want to do that because it gives you a little bit more control over the levels of your audio and things of that nature. And then this microphone, I have to be close to it to speak. Now, why is that? I know some people out there have the Blue Yeti, and the
Mhm.
Blue Yeti can work, but it also, if you don't set it up right, will pick up everything. I could have someone on the other side of me here talking and you wouldn't hear it. That's how these microphones work. And you'll also want to learn what we call mic technique. I'm talking across the microphone because if I talk into it, you get what we call plosives, and that's where you'll hear people get cut off. So that's another thing to consider. And so if you don't like having a mic next to you like I do, that's where I would recommend looking at the lapel mic. There's also what we have called shotgun mics, which would be out of
Mhm.
sight. But that's one of those things that you can play around with till you find what you're most comfortable with. And always happy to have a conversation with anyone that's wondering about that. So
Absolutely.
Amanda, we've
Yes.
told them how to stand.
We
We've
have
told them
how to
to
stand.
improve your audio. Next, we're going to talk about how to improve your video. So, what do you think is the number one mistake that people make when it comes to their video? What's your
Ooh, the number one mistake. Man, I think that's a toss-up. I think it's a toss-up between lighting and your actual framing of the video. Those would be my 2 things.
yeah,
Because even if you're using that internal video camera in your computer, if you have bad lighting or an awkward or not basically what you see here with Gemini is this nice little framing, then we're missing out on a lot of it.
right. And I believe, and I know we're in contest season. I believe that if you let yourself get out of the frame, you can get disqualified.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they have definitively said that
Said
to
that?
my
Right.
knowledge. I don't think they've.
Maybe if Phyllis is still here, she can tell us what
Hey,
the rules
Phyllis.
are. But I know you definitely don't want to be like where your head's getting cut off when you're talking. So make sure that you are framing yourself right, or you don't want to be too low and looking
Right.
there. So make sure you get yourself, really it's like the rule of thirds when it comes to photography. Think about that. Um,
And eye level.
yes.
So that's
Oh,
the key, eye level. So literally, if I walk in, you can see like I'm literally eye level to my camera.
right.
Whether that's standing, sitting, wherever you are, you want that camera at the same level as your eyes.
Right. And so AJ brought something up that for me
I
can
know
be a
I saw
very
that.
very controversial in my book. We're going to talk about them because we have to talk about them.
We do. We have to talk about it.
Virtual backgrounds.
I'm not a fan. I'm going to put it out there. I am not a big fan of virtual backgrounds.
That
I
makes
think
two
they
of
have
us.
their place. I understand, if you are taking a meeting and you're not necessarily presenting, or you're the timer and you need that virtual background in our world to change color, that's the best way to do that, really, in my opinion, virtually. But if you are presenting, virtual backgrounds are going to cut off your hands, they're going to cut off your head. Believe it or not, different virtual backgrounds will change the color of your skin tone as well.
Right.
So you gotta watch it out. But mostly you're getting cut off one way or another.
And
So
And I know as much as everyone loves the Toastmasters blue, which you can see we have here, it's not a good virtual background because one, it's dark. The other thing is that you also, that's the whole thing, right? Like we don't use virtual backgrounds, so it's even hard for us to describe. But what I see happen is people move and they become invisible.
exactly.
And if
Yep.
you're wearing the wrong color, that's why they call them also green screens. You can literally turn yourself invisible. It's cutting off your head, and so it's just not a good look. Now, I've had
It's
some
not.
people ask, they think I have a virtual background. It's not. This was a vinyl brick wall that I got at on Amazon for about
I was gonna say probably Amazon, right?
$40. Yeah, I buy everything from Amazon. Maybe
I
that's
know
why
you do.
I say that. But
It was
don't we all?
Amazon.
Come on,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Um,
I didn't buy this at Amazon, I will tell you that. This was a
But you
Lowe's
but
special.
another thing you can do that I've seen people do is that, and I hadn't thought of this, and I'm in the process, my studio as I upgrade it, is you can go buy, this is gonna sound crazy, you can go buy flooring and staple it to your wall and actually give yourself a whole new look with like a wooden look. You can get distressed wood, or you can actually even find distressed vinyl like this if you want a
Like the
different look.
peel and stick flooring?
No, laminate.
Yeah, it's laminate. I've done it. I've done it on DIY projects for a bar cart,
Yeah. I've seen some really cool
but not on a wall. I could
live
see it.
streaming studios with walls. Yes.
I
Yeah,
could
you'll
see it.
see. It's gonna be
I could see
gonna
it.
be
This is
pretty
just a
cool.
peel and stick wallpaper, though.
Right.
So that's, it's supposed to be removable without any residue.
Right.
We shall see.
Now, okay, I see where you're saying that virtual background will not cut off your head if you're using a green screen, but here's the thing: you need a lot of lights to get
That
it
is the
right.
key.
Because
Yes, if you're
even with
gonna
a
do it,
green
yeah.
screen, you can still have issues with it. So I would say only use a green screen if you have to. I would rather see you go by a background on like I'd almost like want to call it like a roller, right? So you can
Yeah,
roll it in and out
you could do
at
that.
the like photographers use if this space isn't something you can use all the time. So that's something to consider. And then a lot of times people's virtual backgrounds are too busy, right? Like I know,
So that's a pet peeve of mine.
right? I mean, are you really at the beach when you're at the meeting? I know it sounds it's great for,
It can be
it's
fun. They
it can
can be
be fun.
fun. They
Yes.
can have their place. But if you
Right.
are actually giving, a paid presentation, a speech, you want the energy focused on you and your words and not what's going on behind you. Which is why a busy virtual background, a busy real background can all be distracting. So that if you got somebody like me or Jim, our minds are like, oh, what's going on back here? Oh, what's that a word? Oh, why is there a palm tree? Why is it moving? And on my head is doing 10 million things and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is listening to you. So you want to make sure that whatever you got going on behind you is keeping the focus on you, which is also to say, you never, ever, ever want a virtual background that has words right behind your head. So I know back at the beginning, Toastmasters had a virtual background that had the big emblem like right here. And you're standing in front of it. And I know what it says, but it's still distracting. So if you are going to have a virtual background and you want words in it, I highly recommend checking out canva.com, canva.com, and you can make yourself a free virtual background. Super simple, very easy, but you don't want any words. You don't need a bunch of stuff going on. It could be fun for just like a business meeting, but if you're really presenting, keep that energy on you.
And so another good comment is about ring lights and umbrella lights. Now, I would tell you I have a ring light. I'm actually not using it anymore. I actually have 2 LED lights, one on each side that are coming at an angle because I want to get the right light. The issue you can have with the ring lights, especially if you wear glasses, which I do at times, but right now I'm doing this blind, is that the ring light will actually you'll see the rings in the glasses.
Yes, you
And
can.
so a couple suggestions is if you can, depending on the time of your meeting, right? If it's a meeting in the evening, may not work out, but we are Saturday actually, or is it this? Yes, this
It's like the
Saturday.
14th or something.
We're going to go
Yeah, it's Saturday.
spring forward, maybe forever, according to the state of Georgia. They've voted
Well,
to have permanent daylight savings time.
that's a whole nother conversation, Jim. It's not going to
But
happen.
you can get natural light. Natural light can be your friend. You want to
Natural
have
light is your friend. It's your
that
best friend if you
light
can.
behind you, or I should say behind
Behind the
your
lens.
lens, not behind you. That's where sometimes then we can't see you. It's like you're like this dark, shadowy, person. So you want the light coming from the other side. That's another thing that play with it. Ask a friend, right? Amanda, before we came on, was like having to
Messy.
adjust her lighting because sometimes these webcams will do that. They will kind of adjust based on movement, based on the light in the room. So that's something to be
Well, and I
considering.
was using it earlier today in a meeting and it was still sunny out. So
Mhm.
it was different lighting then. So I had to adjust it when it's completely nighttime. I actually shut the blinds all together. One, because I don't want anybody like staring in with all the light. I feel like that would be
Right.
weird. But But and then because the blinds are white, the lights that I do have on then are reflected off of that white panel and then are coming in at me instead of it just going off into the darkness. So white is a reflective material that you can utilize to what we call bounce your light off of and get more light on your subject, which is you.
Right. That's great. So now let's talk cameras.
Yes, yes.
So a lot of people will start out with their built-in computer camera. And I
Yep.
did a couple years ago, but for probably as little as $40, $50, and I'm talking about the Logitech C920, you can
Is it
get
that cheap
yourself
now?
for the 920, not for the Brio.
Oh, not for the night. Yeah, well,
Yeah. And that will improve your camera tremendously. And those are USB cameras. I'm actually using what's called the Logitech Stream Cam, which
are
is at
you?
about 160, and then you've got the Brio, which is about
I've got the Brio.
200. But if you don't want to use any of those, something you may not realize is you have this thing called a cell phone. A lot of these cell phones now, there are apps that will work, and you basically just need a cable, plug it into your computer. This is your webcam, and then just put it on a tripod like we talked about. You can get
Mhm,
tripods
mhm.
for $20. You now have yourself a webcam, and you've just, and these are 4K, right?
Yeah,
So
they're awesome.
you've got yourself a great camera, great video. There's no need at this point until you really get I guess to that point where you need to go out there and think you've got to buy a DSLR or mirrorless camera.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
They're a big investment, and you really got to know how to use them. Even
Yes.
with the Brio, yes, it's Brio, Brio. It's from Logitech as well. We're both Logitech fans. We're just gonna call it the way it is.
Yep.
um, what was I just saying? Damn, I lost
You
myself.
were
When I
saying
talked about the Brio.
even with the Brio, you're still,
Oh,
have
I
to make.
still have to mess with the settings. It
Mhm.
is not a plug and play camera. The C920 and the C922 from Logitech are more plug and play. From what I understand, the one that you have, the Stream Cam, is a little more plug and play, although it does go to a USB-C
Yep.
port. The Brio is a USB port. I actually had to get an app for that. So I have to go in with the software, do some adjustments there, and mess with it. So if you can get a plug and play because you're not trying to figure out all the tech, because it makes a difference. If I pulled up the website, the software right now and turned on their auto white balance, I would look completely different. And if you've seen me speak before, you probably already know I had an issue. Or if you saw my 77-day live, I had a big orange issue and I always looked tan. And yes, people, I am not tan. I don't tan. I don't. The built-in webcam also makes me look super, super orange. So it is something that is a little bit more advanced that you're going to have to mess around with, but know that up front, right? And I think I actually can probably show you guys. So this is the Brio. And okay, this is the built-in FaceTime HD camera. I have a MacBook Pro. I just bought it in the fall, so it's a 2019. So theoretically, it should be fabulous.
Right.
Not
Huge difference.
huge difference, right? But I
Yep.
also have a program called, oh, I just tried to switch to it. Wrong one, sorry. I have a program called Epoch Cam on my iPhone, and that allowed me to use the rear-facing camera on my iPhone as a webcam, and that made a huge difference as well. I just decided to go with a dedicated webcam.
Right.
Because I like the toys. That's why, you
Well,
guys. I
and
like toys.
sometimes you may have a use for
I'm
your
a,
phone
exactly.
during it, so you don't necessarily want to. And then if you forget to turn on do not disturb on airplane
Yeah,
mode,
that could be an issue.
your phone could start ringing in the middle of you being on camera. So that's
Yes.
another
But
thing
that
to
that
consider.
app was free to try. I think there was actually a full free version, and then it was like an $8 app.
Right.
So I'm still not mad that I bought it because, say I travel, if that should ever happen, I could still have a webcam that's better than what y'all just saw, which was, it's a little
Right.
dismal.
Right. Easy to travel with.
Very easy.
We've got a question too. Recommendations on a DSLR. The Canon M50, from what I've heard, is something to consider.
Yes, I've
Uh,
heard that one.
Sony has, I think it's the ZV-1 that
It's
they just came.
Z71? Z something.
Yeah, is a fairly new one as well.
It is.
And then, of course, you can get into the 1,000 plus level, which is where you start getting into some of your mirrorless cameras. But here's what I would tell you about that. Really study that. There's some great YouTubers out there. There's a lady by the name of Diana Gladney who does an amazing breakdown of of actual cameras. She used to be all Canon. Now she's kind of gone over to Sony, but some of it's going to be what your preference is. But just realize that's a major investment. You're probably spending just as much on it on your phone. So before you go there, just make sure that that's something you're ready to do. I have not
Yeah.
gone there yet, and I've been doing stuff on video for, close to 3 years full time. So I think it's nice to have, but it's not a must have when you
It's
start.
not a must-have. No, it's not a must-have, and there's definitely gonna be a learning curve there as well. You're gonna have additional wires. If that's your thing, fantastic. Like
And
Jim said, research it. There
and
are some people out there
you
that are doing it.
you may run into some issues with the Zoom where it doesn't work right. So Zoom's a whole nother animal, and that's part of what we're talking about is presenting here on Zoom. And so, yeah, so with the video, just remember it's going to be the lighting, it's going to be your background, and also picking that camera. But I would say as soon as practicable, get off of the built-in camera on your computer, and
Yeah.
that in and of itself, you'll be able to make some tremendous strides there. And so the last area we're going to talk about tonight is how to improve your presentations on Zoom. When
Mm,
I go to a Zoom meeting for Toastmasters, I want to see you, the speaker, not your PowerPoint slide.
right.
And so there's a couple of things that you can use. Now, if you are a Windows or Mac user, there is a program called Prezi. I was going to try to demonstrate it tonight, but my technology did not want to cooperate. And what it'll allow you to do is put the slides in your actual window, just like Amanda and I are right now. Amanda could have the words next to her or pictures next to her while she's still talking. Now, why is that something good to do? Because if there's an audience, she can still see the audience, right? She can still communicate with them. When we do that Zoom share, the only person we're seeing is the speaker, and the speaker's not seeing us. And really, are we even seeing the speaker? Because it's mainly
Sometimes.
the PowerPoint. And so, you know, think about, do you really need that PowerPoint when you're giving your presentation? And so I'm going to show you a little trick that I use. And I'm sorry, this is for Mac users only. This is a thing called Ecamm, and Ecamm has what we call a virtual camera. And so what I'm able to do with a couple of clicks of a button is I can actually put part of what we're doing tonight is we are educating you. And as you can see, educate is
Ooh
now
la
on
la.
my brick wall, and I can then do away with that. And let's say if I wanted to tell you another great program to use for graphics is Easel, I now have that. But see, you still see me. Now, it's funny you were talking about timer because when I'm the timer at my club, by using this program, I put up a green square, then I can go to the yellow, and then I can go to the red.
Hmm.
And so that's another way. So now I don't have to have that virtual background, and I can move that around if I need to. And then this also allows you to do things like have, I when I was just gave a talk last week, right after the recording of your podcast, I have my title right there. So this is all within the window of Zoom. I don't even have to ask for permission for screen sharing because that's
'Cause it's
in
on
my
your
window.
end.
Yeah. So
Mm,
now you're
so that
in
would be good.
total
I have a
control.
question.
Yes,
I'm gonna ask a question. So,
absolutely.
I know we have a lot of professional speakers out there, that you could utilize and just have up your, logo the whole time, like, right
Yes.
here. You wouldn't even have to take it away. You wouldn't need a side made. You wouldn't need to, have a virtual background. You could have your real wall, your real super
Yep.
awesome blue wallpapered wall,
Right.
and then
Right.
put
Yep.
your logo up there.
And
So that's
I
a
can
cool idea.
even move it. Like if I wanted to right now, I could say, you know what? I really don't want it over there. I want it over here.
That's cool. So you
And
can
then
make it work for you.
yes, so you can kind of decide based on what you're doing. Kind of the same thing where, and I can go in and do other things as well. So this is actually Ecamm is what I'm using. I know the question was asked. That was Prezi. No, Prezi Prezi
That's
is
what they type.
actually will allow you to do similar things. It will
Yes.
allow you to have what I just did with Ecamm. Uh, but it's something you got to play with because, like I said, it wasn't cooperating tonight, so I'm gonna have to figure out why. Because I definitely wanted to be able to show you guys that. But here's the thing: by using these virtual cameras, there's a lot of virtual cameras out there that will work with Zoom. It allows us to really get to the point. Because, like as an example, if I'm talking about this, right, we're here to educate you. Like I've still got that bullet point there to kind of be in your mind, but I'm still talking about it. And then when I move on to the next thing, where like I'm talking about, we're here to entertain you. We talked about this last week,
Maybe.
right? Yeah. This allows us to have that effect without overtaking the whole screen. So that's just, I think, for me, something that people really want to think about when it comes to presenting. And these are the sort of things we want to help our fellow members of District 44 get better at. I'm sure some of the advanced clubs are starting to look at these things, but it's like I said, I think virtual presenting is here to stay. What are some of the other tips and tricks you've seen, Amanda, when it comes to presentations?
One thing that I will say, right, you don't need any other program. If you are going to share your slides in Zoom, especially with the newer updates to Zoom, either in your introduction when you're talking or when the person announces you, you want to let the people know you're going to share screen and make sure that they switch to speaker view up in the right hand corner so that it's not on gallery view, so that it's going to have you side by side. Now, there's also a little toggle bar that they can pull now and make you bigger and your slides smaller. So you can pull it so that it looks like this. So, like, say I'm presenting and where Jim is actually my slides. You could make it equal versus it being massive and you being little. So that's something you want to tell people up front. Until we're all used to it and we all know how to do it on our own and it's automatic, you want to tell people, hey, I'm going to be sharing my slides. You want to go ahead and hit that speaker view up in the right-hand corner. And then if you have the newer update, you can utilize that slide feature. It's just a little itty bitty bar in between myself and my slides, and you can pull that to make me bigger or smaller so you can see more. That, hands down, is going to make a huge, huge difference because sometimes we want to make the slide bigger and really look because you got a lot going on, or we want to see you. We want to minimize the slide because maybe you've been talking for a minute and we don't need to see it anymore, and maybe you're not as proficient with taking it down and putting it up. That alone is going to make it way better for the user experience themselves. Now, if you're the presenter and you need to see your audience, instead of having it on speaker view, after you've shared your screen, you can click over to gallery and see all the people in the boxes on the side as well. So those are great things to utilize in Zoom and make sure you're telling people because that goes from me not seeing you whatsoever to me being able to really enjoy the presentation.
Right. And if you're being judged, right, as an example, or you're really wanting feedback, don't you want the them to be able to see you and not your slides? So I think sometimes be careful about getting too caught up in slides. Think about really we're here to listen to your message and not to see a bunch of slides. Uh,
Exactly.
and one thing, and I'm glad you brought up the thing about Zoom. Also make sure that you're checking to make sure your Zoom is updated to the most recent version because they are making a lot of changes. And these are the sort of things that could make or break your ability to pull off your presentation if you haven't updated to the latest version.
Absolutely. That makes a huge difference. You got little reactions in there now. You've got there's like a hand raise button right in there. There's some different fun reactions that you can utilize in there. So just, you get to play with it. It's a toy. Think of it as a toy that you get to play with as an adult or almost an adult. I don't.
So I don't know if folks, if you have any other questions, if you're watching either right now or on replay, please drop them in the comments, and Amanda and I will get back and answer those for you. Amanda, I thought this was a lot of fun, just like last week.
Absolutely.
I don't know, was last week more fun, or was this week? I don't know. It was fun, but
I don't know. AJ's watching, so we're gonna say last week. Since she was on with us.
I know we missed you, AJ, but maybe you'll
where are
come
you
back
at?
next time. So stay tuned for next week. I think we're going to be live at 8, but I'm in a contest. I don't know how long it's going to go, but the show must go on. So it may be Amanda with a surprise guest host. We will figure it out, because I don't know how long these contests take anymore.
It won't just be my dog.
That's right. That's right.
It might be, though. It might be just me and the dog. I don't know.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us. Oh, let's see. Do we have a question? Oh, well,
No,
thank you. We have a thank you. So yes, we'll take that.
Right.
And thank you,
give us
AJ.
a
We'll take the pats on the back. And
pom-pom of
so that
awesomeness.
might mean that we will be back next week. And then yes, that's a good one, right?
I mean, they could be fun. I get entertained, but yeah, you do need to. So here's what I'll tell you about makeup filters. Eyebrows are probably fine. If you have super fair hair, like I do, that just rhymed, you might need them every now and again. Lips. Here's the problem with lipstick. If you go to take a drink, it's now on there instead, right? It's going to mess it up. Jim doesn't use the lipstick filter, so he's not as aware of this as I am, but
that's right. Haven't got into that yet, but apparently, Amanda, we're going to have you on Launch Your Live to talk about using makeup for live stream.
Yes, using makeup on the camera. The guys can do it too.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone that came and watched tonight. We appreciate you, and spread the word. Let people know about this show. It's not only on the District 44 group page, it's on the actual Facebook page if you want to share it out with your friends that are thinking about Toastmasters. And we're also on the YouTube channel.
Yes, which is the link that's probably easiest.
Subscribe to that YouTube channel, and so maybe we can make the district some money if all you guys subscribe and start watching. So just saying, right?
I mean, if we could, that'd be great. But yeah, so we'll put the link in the chat on Facebook with what the YouTube is, because I know for a fact, I don't know if you know this, Jim, we do have a lot of members who don't use Facebook.
Yes.
And we don't want you to miss out on this information. So if you have friends that are not on Facebook, but they'll watch a YouTube video link, then we will definitely make sure that they get that as well.
And if you're a club doing a hybrid meeting, we want to talk to you.
We want to talk to you.
So reach out, right?
Yes,
this isn't supposed to just always be Amanda and Jim. We want other people to come on, right? Because we know we have a lot of great folks in District 44. And so with that, I'm going to say Happy International Women's Day. Yay. Shout out to my mom and all my family from Peru. That it makes it international for me. And Amanda, any final thoughts?
I appreciate you all for coming. Again, please let us know any questions, any comments, any topics you want to hear or talk about or discuss with us. Or if you have something you think is going to help the district, an idea, we want to hear about it. Please let us know. We want to make sure everybody is able to thrive in this virtual environment and as a Toastmaster.
See you, everyone.
Bye.